It's a choice between a fearful America that's less secure and less engaged with the world, and a strong, confident America that leads. Americans aren't just electing a president in November. We're choosing our next commander-in-chief, the person we count on to decide questions of war and peace, life and death.
The gloves are off. Hillary Clinton didn't hold anything back as she took aim at the Republican presidential hopeful, and how the speech's timing played a role in another GOP announcement.
Considering the past May, which was May gray, we aren't used to it now. So this is going to feel like a real heat wave for sure.
Forget about June gloom. San Diego, say hello to summer sizzle. The trends we can expect for the next few months.
This is something that's a relic from a time when, the country was so openly racist.
A mascot under fire. The debate over school pride and respect for all human beings now hitting a nerve at San Diego State. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. She's making the case to be the next commander-in-chief. Today, Hillary Clinton used her first visit to San Diego to focus on the general election. As KPBS reporter Steve Walsh explains, her address on national security comes just days before California's Democratic primary.
We're outside the Prado here in Balboa Park, where Hillary Clinton delivered what she billed as a major foreign policy speech designed to burnish her credentials as commander-in-chief while playing up some of the weakness of the GOP frontrunner, Donald Trump.
The speech never mentioned her Democratic challenger, Senator Bernie Sanders. Instead, Clinton contrasted herself with the presumptive GOP nominee.
Imagine if he had not just his Twitter account at his disposal when he's angry, but America's entire arsenal. Do we want him making those calls? Someone thin-skinned and quick to anger who lashes out at the smallest criticism.
Hillary! 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 Hillary!
A crowd of supporters gathered outside, along with a few detractors. Inside, the small space only allowed enough room for just over 200 people, which included City Councilman Todd Gloria.
I think that San Diegans, better than many, understand exactly how high the stakes are when it comes to picking a commander-in-chief. And what we need is a steady hand. We need someone who can be trusted with that incredible burden.
This speech seemed more geared toward a national audience, though this is also part of a 5-day swing through California ahead of the June 7th primary, which comes up next Tuesday. From Balboa Park, Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
An extraordinary public split between the GOP and the party's presumptive presidential nominee may be on the mend. Today, House Speaker Paul Ryan announced he will vote for Donald Trump. The announcement was released at the same time that Clinton was delivering a speech blasting Trump's foreign policy. And Ryan says it took several weeks of conversations with Trump before arriving at his decision.
What matters to me more than anything else are our core principles, the policies that come from them, the agenda that we're driving in the House that we're about to release. And I just wanted to have a good comfort level that these policies, these principles and policies are something that we would be able to work with him on.
Ryan says he specifically wanted to go over Trump's approach to executive power, judicial appointments, and his position on abortion. The Wisconsin Republican acknowledged he continues to have concerns over Trump's combative style. A USC LA Times poll shows Bernie Sanders ahead of Hillary Clinton by 1 percentage point. The poll shows support for Sanders at 44% to Clinton's 43% among all eligible voters. But among those most likely to vote based on their past history and their stated intentions, Clinton is ahead 49% to 39%. Sanders continues to maintain wide margins among the young, while Clinton garners support from older, more reliable voters. Excitement over the tight race between Clinton and Bernie Sanders is giving Democrats a big boost in local voter rolls. Democratic Party registration gained 72,000 more voters since the start of this year. The GOP picked up 29,000 new voters. In the city of San Diego, Democrats got 37,000 new registered voters, while Republicans added almost 10,000. You're going to want to break out your flip-flops and head to the beach this weekend. San Diego's valleys, mountains, and deserts are expected to sizzle. And KPBS reporter Susan Murphy tells us forecasters are predicting above-average temperatures throughout the summer.
San Diego County is in the grips of the season's first heat wave. Temperatures as high as 20 degrees above average are expected from Friday through Sunday. Those looking to cool off can head to the beach, where the marine layer and ocean breeze will keep temperatures in the low 70s. In fact, there will be a 40-degree difference between the beach and the desert. National Weather Service meteorologist Alex Tardy says the coast will stay comfortable, in part because the warm El Nino conditions have dissipated. He says the ocean is a natural air conditioner.
So we finally have seen our coastal waters cool closer to normal sea surface temperatures. That's part of why we've seen a marine layer. The marine layer also needs other ingredients in the atmosphere to make it really set up right.
Tardy says the heat wave will move out by Monday, but looking ahead, we're in for a warm 3 months.
Good news is not as hot as 14 in 2015, but bad news is we're expecting another warm summer, which means temperatures will average above normal. So for the whole month, for the whole summer, June, July, August, September, we'll average above normal. But most importantly, embedded within there, we still expect some decent heat waves.
Tardy says the warm temperatures will continue to feed the severe drought. The region's rainfall this season is more than 2 inches below average.
And we've seen no improvement other than, a nice green up this spring that's already dying off now.
Susan Murphy, KPBS News.
We'll have an update on the excessive heat warning in San Diego coming up in a few minutes in the KPBS weather report. Authorities say the Palo wildfire is about 75% contained. The wildfire gutted a home, destroyed abandoned sheds, and blackened about 45 acres in the Palo area. That is 50 miles north of San Diego. 3 firefighters are recovering from minor burns suffered while working to extinguish the blaze. A report released today by the San Diego County Grand Jury finds county jails have not adjusted adequately to the state's policy of realignment. Since 2011, low-level inmates have shifted away from state prisons and into county jails, meaning inmates are staying at the county longer. The grand jury report says the Sheriff's Department should shift from short-term to a longer-term mentality and offer prisoners opportunities that will help them stay out of jail once released. It's heading to Governor Brown's desk now, a bill that would allow people living here illegally to buy health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. It would open up covered California to nearly 390,000 people. The legislation is the first of its kind in the country.
And we're sending a message to our immigrant communities that they matter, that integration works, that having you be part of our society is something that is not only the right thing to do, but makes economic sense.
If Governor Brown signs the bill, the next step is up to the federal government. It would have to decide whether to grant the waiver. The San Ysidro Port of Entry is seeing a surge of migrants from Haiti and from African countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo and Cameroon. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero takes a look at what might be behind the surge.
John Felix says he's from the Democratic Republic of Congo. He says he arrived in Tijuana last night after a 2-month trip through South and Central America.
I want a better life, to see if I can help my family who stayed back home, because it's so bad over there. They don't have anything.
He's waiting outside the San Ysidro Port of Entry with his wife and daughter alongside dozens of others who say they're also from the Democratic Republic of Congo, Haiti, Cameroon, Nigeria, and other countries. Some seek political asylum, and others say they come for economic reasons. Tijuana police have been leading some of the migrants to shelters where they can eat and sleep, as well as to a grassy area a couple of blocks away where they're told they can be more comfortable while they wait. But some are afraid to lose their place in line.
I want to pass, but the police don't want me to. I want to stay here so I can pass more quickly, because I've been traveling so long.
Mulamba Woma was one of the migrants ushered away to the nearby grassy area. He says he was told that if he cooperated, he would be given priority at the crossing. He says he came from the Democratic Republic of Congo because he feared for his life after a terrorist uprising in which his uncle and several friends were killed.
They kill many people, you know. That's why I would like to, I don't want to stay there. I get out to look for another life. You know what I'm saying?
He says he too has been traveling for 2 months.
I take a plane, I take bus, I take boat too. And I walk, you know, I walk a lot.
He says he plans to apply for political asylum in the U.S. In the meantime, he's relying on the generosity of strangers for food. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
A pilot with the Navy Blue Angels died today after his jet crashed outside of Nashville. This happened during a practice before this weekend's Great Tennessee Air Show. 5 other pilots landed safely. Navy officials are now investigating what went wrong. This was also the second crash of the day for the military's elite fighter jet performance teams. Earlier, a member of the U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds ejected before his plane crashed in Colorado. This was after a flyover for the Air Force Academy graduation. The investigation into a murder-suicide on the UCLA campus took a sinister turn today. Police announced the suspected shooter killed a woman in Minnesota earlier. Then he drove to Los Angeles to confront a professor he believed had stolen his work. Detectives also believe that Menek Sarkar, a 38-year-old former engineering graduate student, intended to kill a second professor Wednesday morning, but could not find him on campus.
One of the pieces of evidence that I discussed today was that in the search of Sarkar's residence in Minneapolis, a list was located that had Professor Klug's name on it, another UCLA's professor's name on it, and the name of the female victim that was later located in the nearby town.
Police say Sarkar shot and killed Professor William Scott Klug in an engineering building and then shot himself. The shooting led to a lockdown on the campus with 60,000 students and staff members. Metropolitan Transit System's drivers will return to the job tomorrow after agreeing to a new contract. Employees of First Transit, which supplies paratransit and minibus drivers to San Diego's MTS, have been on strike for more than a week after negotiations stalled. MTS says major bus routes and the trolley were not affected by the work stoppage, but access to paratransit in the North County was halted, as was the Sorrento Valley Coaster Connection bus shuttle service. A bill to limit how many out-of-state students get admitted into the University of California system has passed in the state assembly. The measure follows revelations that UC campuses lowered admission standards for non-resident students at the same time students in California were being turned away. Last year, non-resident students received 34% of offers at UC Berkeley and 39% at UC San Diego. It's endured student petitions, campus referendums, and an NCAA ban on Native American mascots. Now, the San Diego State University's Aztec is coming under fire again. KPBS reporter Megan Burke says this time the challenge comes with fresh insight into how the mascot came to be.
In 2009, San Diego State University sanctioned the Sigma Alpha Epsilon chapter on campus for hosting a Cowboys and Indians-themed party. Ozzy Monge says that's a problem for the university.
Wait a minute. The university punished a fraternity for having a party where students were dressed like Indians, while the university maintains a mascot that is a student dressed like an Indian.
Monge is a lecturer in the school's American Indian Studies department. This spring, he presented university administrators with an exhaustive look at the Aztec mascot's history. He says it was born out of racism and should be canned.
This really, when you look at it and examine it, this is something that's a relic from a time when, you know, the country was so openly racist, when white supremacy was treated as a fact.
Maj says the campus's fascination with indigenous cultures started from a more patriarchal place, the early 1900s, when SDSU was known as the normal school. Back then a teacher's college, it drew heavily on Father Junipero Serra and his legacy of teaching Christianity to local indigenous people. But Maj says Serra's missions also brought abuse to Native Americans.
And there's a school song that stems from those early days that talks about Native people as naked heathens. You know, Serra brings naked heathens to his knee and teaches them.
In the 1920s, the school had a cat as its mascot. After the school merged with a junior college to become San Diego State University, students staged a contest to come up with a new one.
I call it the Cuda Cat.
The Aztec mascot was born.
The sports articles take on a whole different life because now the coach becomes a chief. The athletes are warriors. When they go on the road, they're on the warpath. When they win, they massacre, you know.
In 1937, the graduating class gifted the university an Aztec statue. It became known as Mani Montezuma. Archival footage of the dedication ceremony shows a student dressed as Father Serra proselytizing to students dressed in loincloths and headdresses. They're stomping around in circles.
I have that dancing in a circle to a 2014 video of students dancing in a circle with paint and, you know, acting the savage.
Maj picks up the story in a freshman writing class.
We're always stuck in the past. We're always wearing feathers. We're always dressed in buckskin.
He describes the 1941 homecoming game where a student played Monty for the first time. The student chased women clad in buckskin across the field.
And the MC grabs him by the arm, Art, dressed as Mani Montezuma, and says, Mani, what are you doing? Why are you chasing those young ladies? And Art Munzig replies, they're playing the Pomona sage hens. Me think 'em them mighty fine sage chickens, right? And so the audience just laughs. They're like, this is funny. And he says, Monty, I just saw you at the quad. How did you get here so fast? Referring to the statue, right? And he says, me run 'em fast. And then he starts chasing the girls again, right? That is the birth of the mascot at San Diego State University. That is the actual acknowledged, even by the university's website, as the birth of the mascot.
SDSU President Elliot Hirschman did not want to be interviewed for this story, but said in a statement the university welcomes the conversation and that past discussions resulted in an Aztec mascot that is more historically accurate. Carlos Gutierrez was part of those discussions in 2000 when the more stylized Monty costume was retired. He wore the Monty uniform beginning in 1990 and says he consulted with an expert in Mexico to design the Aztec warrior uniform currently seen at games, bare-chested with a feathered helmet and a conch shell.
The people here in San Diego are very grateful to have the name the Aztecs, and it's been here for so long and representing of strength. That's what I believe it represents, and you ask a lot of people, I think they would say the same thing.
He was right. That's what we found when we talked to several students on campus. But when we asked students in that freshman writing class where Maj spoke, the results were different. Esmeralda Quintero wears an Aztec baseball cap and says she tries to show school spirit most days.
I'm like 100% persuaded by his presentation. I agree with everything that he said. I mean, it's hurtful, it's an act of racism, it's hidden from the students.
Maj says he doesn't want students like Quintero to feel ashamed.
There are all these opportunities for us as a group, as a university, to sit and teach this lesson about racism. And we keep hiding it. To protect the mascot, to protect the moniker. That's what is offensive.
Maj is sharing his finding with student groups. He says he hopes they spark a dialogue on campus if the administration does not. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
Video journalist Matt Bowler helped produce that story. Lawmakers are looking to set basic guidelines for the use of drones in the state. The Senate approved a measure today that would limit drones near critical infrastructure, airports, and near private property, state parks, and wildlife refuges. It would also require commercial operators to purchase liability insurance.
There are instances where privacy is impacted, where drones are being flown over areas and impeding, for example, firefighting, interfering with police work, interfering with our personal privacy.
The bill now heads to the Assembly. San Diego's warming trend this week challenges record high numbers. Molly Cochran explains dry weather and hot temperatures may be a dangerous combination this fire season. That's tonight on the KPBS Weather Report.
Well, a ridge of high pressure keeping us sunny and bright along California. Here's a look at our radar and satellite. Really not too much to show other than a few clouds. When we see a ridge type of pattern building in the west coast, that usually leads to sunshine as well as the heat. And that's going to be rising not only along California, but also into the Pac Northwest. So for tonight, we'll stay mainly dry, some fog moving in late. Our overnight low right around 64 degrees, and that's pretty close to where we should be at for this time of year. But temperatures are on the rise into Friday and the upcoming weekend. Here's a look elsewhere for tonight along the immediate coastline. We'll be staying a little bit cooler, 58 in Oceanside for a low. Will be clear with some low clouds moving in late, 55 in Ramona, also in Mount Laguna in the mid-50s with dry conditions. Now, here's a look at the early half of next week. The heat remains on along the southwest, including California. The interior sections likely to heat up a little bit more than the immediate coastline, but we have to start to keep in mind, maybe worry a little bit about the increased fire danger because the heat's on and also it's very dry. And on top of that, we're watching a little bit of a disturbance moving in for the early half of the week, mainly impacting Northern California. But for this reason, we could start to see some lightning and some storms in the higher terrain, and that could also spark a fire or two. So something to definitely keep in mind over the next couple days. Temperatures, though, going to be the real main story for this weekend. They're going to be well above average. This time of year, we should be in the upper 60s, so it is a very much above so into Saturday and Sunday. Mid to upper 70s, some sunshine. Low clouds to start off each day, then the sun should burn those off pretty quickly by the afternoon. Notice into Monday and Tuesday, though, temperatures start to come back down into the lower 70s, and we should remain dry and relatively quiet. Here's a look along the interior sections. Temperature of 80 on Friday, upper 70s ahead for Saturday, mid 70s on Sunday, and then our temperatures also come down here into the early half of the week. For the mountains, it's going to be feeling quite mild Friday and Saturday in the upper 80s. Then slowly starting to decline as well. Some sunshine for Sunday, also very pleasant on Monday with a temperature of 79 degrees. Take a look at the desert. It is going to be sizzling. We're well into the triple digits for Friday and Saturday. Also going to be back there on Sunday. And then as we head into Monday, those temperatures start to come down, but still triple digit heat ahead and also staying very dry. Molly Cochran, KPBS News.
It's a movement helping women speak up about what they want. Associated Press reporter Krista Faria explains the changing attitudes that may transform the feminine care industry.
Until recently, women had few choices when it came to feminine hygiene products. Menstruation was a topic many felt uncomfortable discussing. But attitudes are changing, and so are the products.
I'm a total convert. I'm actually wearing it right now because I have my period right now, so this is perfect.
29-year-old Morgan Batista says she recently started using menstrual cups after reading about them online.
I think it can be life-changing.
While disposable pads and tampons continue to dominate sales in the multi-billion-dollar industry, silicone menstrual cups, now widely available, have seen a double-digit surge. New products like Thinx have also come on the scene. The company says it has sold more than 500,000 pairs of the reusable period panties since its launch in 2015.
I think we are truly, part of the, or I would say even at the helm of the period feminist movement. We really had to consider all of the different things that women were concerned about. And, the great news is we're women creating the product for women.
Homemade cloth pads are also growing in popularity, thanks to customizable designs on sites like Etsy. Women's Studies Associate Professor Chris Boble says millennials are more willing to openly talk about their periods.
When you have conversation, then you start to ask questions. You become curious, and you may realize, gee, I don't know what's in my tampon. Is that a problem?
That openness is leading to a bump in sales among reusable products as young women seek natural, environmentally friendly options.
The mindset might be a little bit more open to experimenting with different products and not just what mom uses. And so this is where the opportunities are really for alternative product manufacturers to really build that relationship.
I definitely would never go back to tampons after this. It's game changer.
One that could one day reshape the feminine care industry. Krista Fourier, Associated Press.
They're ready for their close-up. Film Out kicks off its 18th year tomorrow at the Observatory in North Park. KPBS film critic Beth Accomando gives us a preview of San Diego's LGBT Film Festival.
This year, Film Out had nearly 900 film submissions that had to be pared down to a mere 3 days of programming. For the first time, opening night will serve up a thriller, Kiss Me, Kill Me, followed by an after-party with the cast and crew. Programmer Michael McQuiggan says women have a strong showing this year.
The Girl Center piece, I'm actually really excited. It's a great film called Toy. I don't want to give anything away. Let me just say that half of the films this year are dark, or half of them are rom-com. Toy is definitely on the dark side.
So too are the stunning Downriver and Closet Monster, the latter featuring a hamster voiced by Isabella Rossellini. Expect the unexpected from this year's Film Out. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
A rare sight at the San Diego Zoo, a red-ruffed lemur gave birth to the first newborn in 13 years. It's only a couple of weeks old. The species is found in the wild only in Madagascar. It is listed as critically endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.